If you take it orally, how do the BPC know I should go to the elbow? Because when you have an injury there, means you have inflammation. Means the inflammatory cells are secreting what we call cytokine, which are signals to the peptide that it's supposed to go there and heal there.
A lot of people tell us when they come to us, how come my doctor don't know about it? Like, if this is true what you're telling us, why my doctor doesn't know about it? Why I have never heard about it, not in the news, not in... And the reason is...
Welcome to the Siim Land podcast. Today our guests are Noah and Dr. Silvana Laith. Silvana is a medical doctor specializing in neuropathology, and Noah has a master's degree in artificial intelligence. Together they founded a longevity clinic in Dubai and Miami. This episode is brought to you by Bond Charge, my favorite company for blue blocking glasses, red light therapy devices, and red light bulbs. These items are essential for keeping your sleep-wakefulness cycles aligned in a world that tries to mess them up. Instead of looking at your phone before bed and letting the blue light disrupt your melatonin production, why not wear blue blockers instead that prevent that from happening? Instead of having your bedroom lit up with bright lights, use the more sleep-friendly alternative by opting for flicker-free red light bulbs that don't disrupt your sleep. Bond Charge also has amazing infrared sauna blankets that can give you the same health benefits as the traditional sauna. You also get the unique benefits of infrared light that improves joint and skin health. Head over to bondcharge.com/Siim Land and use the code SIIM, S-I-I-M, for a 15% discount. Noah, Silvana, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Siim, for having us.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you on the show. And yeah, it's three of us in different locations, but we have a common, interest, which are peptides. And a lot of people are also very excited about peptides recently, and it's a very hot topic. But maybe we can start with what are peptides and how are they made? Because are they derived from nature? Are they synthetic? So there's a lot of misconceptions in that area.
Yes, true. So peptides, they are a small protein chain, they are made of amino acid, a chain of amino acids. And if you look at it in a Biblic way, everything below 50 amino acids is a peptides. Everything above it's a protein. But nowadays we have also peptides of 75 amino acids and above. And peptides, you have to see them as smart agents. And when I say smart, it's not that they can learn a new language, but smart in a way that, for example, if you take a drug that lower your blood pressure and you have normal blood pressure, it will still lower your blood pressure. But peptides will not do that. If you have a peptide that is lowering blood pressure peptide, it will, and you don't have low blood pressure, it will not lower that blood pressure, right? If you have a normal one, it will keep it normal. So that's in the way it's intelligent. So it look in your body, and you have peptides for everything. So it will look at your body for inflammation if it's an anti-inflammatory peptides. You have peptides for the brain. You have peptides for the gut. You have peptides for the joint, for the muscles. You have peptides for hormones and muscle growth. And there are in total, that what we know of, around 250,000 peptides. The scientists have been able to extract around 7,000 peptides. We use in our clinic around 80 peptides that are quite popular with a safe risk profile. And it can be for anything, as I said, from brain neuroplasticity to gut healing to you name it, and they exist. So that's regarding what are actually peptides, right? And we call peptides polypeptide. They are polypeptides in the body, and they are found actually in every organ. So that's why it has a very safe way to use it. And there is a lot of data around peptides. So the profile of peptides, because it's bioidentical to your body, is quite safe. And there are two ways how to create peptides. You can create it in a lab, but the molecule of that peptide is bioidentical to the molecule of your body, or you can extract it from nature, from plants, from animals, from snakes, from frogs, from the poison of snakes, and from spiders, And there have been a lot of scientific and medical studies that has shown the efficacy of these peptides on humans, right? So they are pleiotropic, which means they can change the direction and the function of that peptide by activating different pathways, right? So that's in a nutshell what are peptides.
Yeah, just I want to add something. Well, Noah already said everything. In the body, when we talk about peptide, he already said the classification below 50 amino acid and above 50 amino acid to say it's a protein or not. But in the body, usually peptide are linked together, like insulin, and we call them polypeptides. So they are big, but they're not protein. They are still peptides, or different peptide linked together. And also, just to clarify more about pleiotropic, as Noah mentioned, pleiotropic means that the same peptide can have different action depend on what cell he's reacting with. For example, the PPC on the cell of the gut has totally different action as, for example, on the cell of the joints. This is what pleiotropic means. And I just also want to highlight something that Noah said about being bioidentical, because a lot of people misunderstand what bioidentical is. And they think when you talk about bioidentical, it means it's natural. No, bioidentical means it still can be synthetic and synthesized in a lab, but it means that the structure of the molecule that I created is exactly the same structure of the molecule that already exists in your body, which means it's going to link to the receptor in the same way and activate the same pathway. So when we talk about peptide, they are bioidentical, but they could be synthetic, which means fabricated in a lab, or they could be natural, as Noah mentioned, extracted from animal poison. And now we have a lot of more and more studies going on from natural peptide extracted from spider poison, from snake poison, or even from combo, which means from poison of the skin of the frog.
Wow. Yeah, that's super interesting that getting it from these kind of sources has like some therapeutic effects. It's interesting to see. But yeah, you mentioned that there are like these synthetic peptides and natural peptides, and I guess like you also mentioned that insulin is a peptide. So what is like the different? Is there how are they categorized in that sense, or are there any different categories of peptides in terms of like effectiveness or safety or something like that? Are the natural peptides somehow healthier or safer versus synthetic peptides, and are they different?
No. It's the safety is mostly based on who is creating it, which company is creating it, and because it's a gray market, and because it's a not fully regulated market, although the FDA and the EMA, the European version of the FDA, the European Medicine Agency, has been reluctant to create a real protocol about what's allowed and not allowed. Because of that, a lot of companies from China, from Korea, from many other countries has been flooding the market and selling for research only peptides. But obviously people are buying it and are injecting it in themselves and are taking it orally, sub-Q in their body. And the problem with that is that if you buy a peptide that has not been created for human consumption, and that the company behind it writes for research only so they don't get sued, you get a very risky safety profile, let's say, because of purity and because of the way that it was fabricated. So that's why we always advise our patients and friends and family always to use compounded pharmacy created peptides. And because they are so efficient and because they are, to be honest with you, if you want to do aging well, you have to do peptides. Like it's amazing for the speed of recovery, for the speed of healing. And you have almost for every type of pathology, you can add peptides to heal faster, right? So people are waking up, they are seeing, wow, this is an amazing drug. How come my doctor don't know about it? Let me do my own research and let me buy it on the internet. Usually from the internet, you will not get a compounded pharmacy peptides because they only give it to you with a prescription, right? So, and I would love Silvana to add also her view on that. My view is if it's not prescribed and if it's not from a lab, a GMP lab, that's a compounded pharmacy, it can be a very dangerous and have a very dangerous risk profile. Silvana, what is your take on safety?
I just want to answer a part of the question that Siim already asked. Are natural peptide better than synthesized peptide? Natural does not mean, by like definition, does not mean really that natural is better than synthetic. Since synthetic is bioidentical, as I already explained. And I cannot really answer this question because now we know that we are trying to extract peptide from natural source to heal neurodegenerative disorder. But there's no study comparing a synthetic peptide to a natural peptide. So I cannot really answer this question. But hypothetically, I would say not necessarily, no. And now, just to clarify something that Noah was already talking about, is the purity of peptide. This is very important why purchasing a peptide is to look for a company or a compounding pharmacy that care about the purity. What does it mean, the purity of peptides? It means that we removed, or what we call them LPS, lipopolysaccharide, that can accumulate in a peptide while we'll synthesize it, while we store it in the lab. And LPS normally, we found them on the external membrane of bacteria. And when you inject peptides that are contaminated with LPS, your immune system is going to react. Now, if the level of LPS is not that big, okay, your immune system can get rid of it. But imagine you're purchasing different peptide and you're injecting different peptide, and those old LPS starting accumulating in your body. This can start to be problematic. And that's why it's very, very important to know where you are getting your peptide from. Because if you look, for example, in China, the prices are lower compared to the US and Europe, but they don't have strict rules when it comes to purity.
Right.
Yes. And same also the legal status by country within the EU and even within the states in the United States is varying. So people are like having difficulties to find them, to get doctors, because doctors are scared to prescribe them, to get doctors open to prescribe them. So they're going to the gray and the black markets, unfortunately. So it's also from a legal point of view, sometimes challenging for patients.
Yeah, so that is actually one of the like reasons peptide have become quite popular is also the FDA has decided to, I guess, like ban most of the injectable peptides in the United States, which kind of made a lot of news as well in the kind of a biohacking health world. So what is the kind of situation right now, if you're aware of the FDA and peptides?
Yes. So in November, they have banned a couple of peptides. Obviously, insulin is the oldest peptide that exists and is still being used under prescription. A lot of people are traveling to Europe. A lot of Americans and Canadians are traveling to Europe to get peptides. And we have a lot of clients from the United States that are coming to Europe and to get their peptides. And because they want it from a safe place, right? But the why they're coming, it's because it's being made not legal or more in a gray zone, and big compounded pharmacies are reluctant nowadays since November last year to create peptides. Now there are some peptides that under prescriptions like GLP-1 with a genetic name for Ozempic, and that has been prescribed. But they are also trying to make that peptide stricter to rules. And also, like if you take a generic peptides compounded from a pharmacy comparing to Ozempic, the price is 5-6 times cheaper. So a lot of people are thinking, okay, why would I buy Ozempic? I'm gonna go to GLP-1, just a generic name. It has the same effect and it has the same safety profile. So there are some peptides that are still being fabricated and compounded by pharmacies, but many of them, like BPC 157 and TD 500, went from a white zone to a gray zone, and in some states even black zone. And if you're a big compounded pharmacy, you're not going to touch it. The smaller ones are still creating it in USA, but we know from firsthand, we are friends with some of these owners, that compounded pharmacies are getting letters of where they tell them, look, you have to stop this. So for injectable and nasal. There are other peptides that are still being sold and created by pharmacies. Now, cosmetic peptides like GHK copper, the cosmetic parts of peptides, where if they are in a dermatological way used, there are no rules. They are not banned and they are not restricted, right? Because they find the safety for the cosmetic formulations by the FDA non-serious on for the patient, so they leave them alone, and they do not require a prescription. So the peptides that are topical are really amazing if you have wounds, if you have deep wounds after operations, after injuries, scars. So for that part, that is still in the white zone, let's say.
Gotcha. Right. So it's becoming harder in the States, at least, to get them.
In the States, yes.
Right. And in Europe, I guess there's no like central governing body.
There is, but they are not. It's not on their focus. It's not on their radar yet. Maybe that will change. Switzerland does not allow it, but the rest of Europe, they see it just as a novel food, let's say, or a novel drug, and they don't see it as something really. But it might change in the future.
Gotcha.
Usually, peptides for therapeutic purposes. So if someone requests a doctor to prescribe it, it must undergo approval by the EMA. Like similar to the FDA, the EMA has approved specific peptides like insulin and GLP-1 analog to well-defined medical use. The rest, it's not well-defined, and a lot of doctors, if they don't have the data and if they don't have the research behind that specific peptides, they will A, not know about it, and B, they will not touch it because they don't understand it. And in April, actually, my wife and I we will giving a training in Greece to a bunch of doctors that are curious how to use peptides to their patients to speed up the process of healing, right? So that's
Gotcha.
But we should mention as well that even in the US, FDA is becoming more and more strict. And as Noah explained, there are like FDA approved peptide for very specific medical condition. We already mentioned insulin for diabetes, GLP-1 for diabetes, and for weight loss, it's approved. But also, some doctors in the US, especially orthopedic surgeons, are starting to prescribe peptide to their patient to heal faster after surgery. So there is this awareness about the importance of peptide, but FDA is becoming more and more strict.
Yeah. A lot of like athletes have also been sharing their stories about injuries with peptides. But maybe we can start with the most popular peptides. So like, what are they? Like, what are the benefits? And are there any like, what kind of studies have been done on them? So you can start with BPC 157, like the most known peptide probably.
Yes. So BPC 157 is the acronym for body protection compound, right? Which it says the word. We like always to use peptides in a cocktail form, because peptides in a cocktail form, suddenly 1 + 1 become 15, right? And there has been studies in the 80s, I remember, or in the 70s by Croatia, where they showed actually that BPC 157 in combination with TB500 has been very efficient to heal. And funny enough, like a lot of people tell us when they come to us, they say like, how come my doctor don't know about this? Like, if this is true what you're telling us, why my doctor doesn't know about it? Why I have never heard about it? Not in the news, not in. And the reason is, I always explain them that science, the average medical study, before it become executed on a mainstream level, the delay of that is 17.2 years. Now that is the average. Some of these protocols and some of these studies, sometimes it takes 30, 40, 50 years even. Like hormone optimization therapy, it's only in the last 10 years. Peptides is only in the last 5 to 10 years that it's becoming a bit mainstream, but it has been existing for more than 50, 60, 70 years. And actually, in Russia, it is obliged to have, every pharmacy is obliged to have BPC 157 and TB 500 in their stock for emergency. If there is a problem with the nation, everyone needs to take BPC 157 and TB 500 because it upregulates your immunity and it upregulates your inflammatory protection, right? So it depends which country you're talking. In some countries, they don't know about it. And in other countries, they know very well that it's the power of peptides. So BPC 157, I mean, my wife Silvana and I, we love BPC 157 because you can use it for many, many reasons. You can use it for the guts. You can use it for healing. It's anti-inflammatory, and it go into the body wherever there are inflammations, right? Now it stimulates some synthesis of growth factors, but it inhibits the inflammation, right? So if you have cancer, for example, we don't advise BPC 157. There are other peptides for that. So yeah, that's by the way, the studies that have been done on BPC, a lot of studies that has been done on animals. The human one was only done in Croatia. Silvana, do you want to add something regarding that?
I mean, BPC is very famous for his healing effect. BPC is mainly secreted in the gut. It is secreted in the gut. And now we have this question very often from patients, like, how come something that is secreted in the gut can heal my joints or can heal something else somewhere else? So we should understand something about the gut. The gut lining is the same as your skin lining, which means there are continuous shedding of cells, and the cells, there are big turnover, and the cells should be replaced. So when we talk about continuous shedding of the surface, which means like a wound-like effect, and BPC is here to heal you and to stimulate the secretion of new cells. And this is why BPC is very famous for his healing effect. And now we have a lot of studies. If you want to talk about the disease related to the gut, we have a lot of studies proving that BPC 157 can actually heal inflammatory bowel disease, like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, which are very heavy diseases. Usually they touch the young people. And what is the prognosis of these diseases is at the end, you're going to end up with surgery and they're going to remove a part of your gut. But now we have BPC on animal studies showing that it can heal completely your gut just by taking pills, because BPC is one of the rarest peptides you can take orally. Now, regarding the effect on the joint, there's different study, also animal studies that, for example, I mentioned one. They took a group of mice. They provoked a rupture of the Achilles tendon in the mice, and they gave them BPC injection, and it healed completely within weeks. So this is a proof that this peptide can heal you. Now, you may wonder how BPC can do this, because BPC work. It's anti-inflammatory, as Noah mentioned. It stimulates your immune system as well, and Noah mentioned, but it works also by stimulating what we call angiogenesis, which means the fabrication and the synthesis of new vessels that will bring and nourish the cells that you need to heal. Second, they stimulate the secretion of nitric oxide, which means also more vessel, dilation of these vessels, and more oxygen to the site of injury. Third, they stimulate the migration of fibroblasts to the site of injury. What are fibroblasts? Fibroblasts are a type of cells that will secrete collagen and help you to repair completely the ligament or tendon that is ruptured. And this is how BPC actually works. But Noah mentioned also something very important about BPC and cancer. We don't recommend BPC to our cancer patient, not because BPC can cause cancer. There's no study proving this until now, but because BPC upregulate growth factor and growth hormone receptors, which means it's gonna increase the turnover of cell. And we know cancer, it's when a certain group of cells start dividing very fast. So imagine you're also increasing the turnover, so you're stimulating their division even more. And that's why theoretically we're saying it's better not to take it. But please don't confuse it. We're not saying that BPC causes cancer.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think the cancer also uses the blood vessels to create like blood flow to itself. So it's like steals the blood flow. And I mean, I've used the BPC myself. I use the oral version, like a tincture, and it at least I did like recover from one of my elbow injuries over the last few weeks that I used it. So from my own personal experience, I can say that it does. At least, anecdotally, it works. But you mentioned like a lot of these animal studies, and there's currently like no human studies on BPC, as I understand them.
There is one.
One, okay.
I mean, one that we know of, the one in Croatia. Do you remember, Silvana, which year that was?
Not really, but it was like
No.
very.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, but to be honest to you, same like we like I know it's anecdotal. I know it's not a double-blinded study, but we gave it to thousands of patients, and there is almost no one that came back to us that says, "Oh, it did not work." So I don't know. Like you make your conclusion.
Yeah.
I just want to add something about what you said, Siim, that you took it orally to heal your elbow. Because a lot of people come to us, they already read different stuff about peptide, and for them to heal, they should take it via injection, which is not necessarily true. There's a study that showed that even if you take it orally, it will go to where it's supposed to go. Now, what I use with my patient, usually when they have gut issue and they want to heal the gut issue, I give it orally because it will act locally through when it passes through the digestive system. When they have an injury somewhere else, like elbow injury, knee injury, I give them the option either to inject it, either to take it orally. Usually people opt for injection because they believe injection work better, even though the study showed that injection does not necessarily means more bioavailability when it comes to BPC. And also BPC has like newly discovered effect, which is stimulate the regeneration of neurons and the secretion of dopamine. And when we talk about this, we talk about potential peptide that will help you prevent neurodegenerative disease, especially Parkinson, because Parkinson is a problem with dopamine. So there are some people, especially old people, that they want to try it to prevent this. And usually we prescribe it through spray form, because when you take it through spray, it passes directly to your brain. So this is what we usually use as protocol with BPC.
So you would, the most ideal scenario is to kind of try to get it as locally as possible, but it's not a huge difference.
Yeah, like if someone come to me with a knee injury, he doesn't like injection, I'll give it orally.
You're right. Yeah.
And the nice about it is that like your immunity, as you might know, mostly is created in the gut. And most people have nowadays some type of gut issue. So usually as an added benefit, their gut also is being repaired if you take it orally.
Yeah. I didn't notice any effects on my gut, but I didn't have any problems with the gut either. But I would imagine that. So is there any, like, I guess, hierarchy with that? Would it have the effects on the gut first, or how does it decide where does it start repairing first?
If you take it orally, it definitely will have effect on the gut. We see it with a lot of people who have GERD, who have ulcers, who have some digestive problems, and especially if they had a gluten intolerance and they are inflamed there, then a BBC cocktail orally has more effects than injectables. So yeah, that's why for some of our patients we tell them to take it orally, and even if they don't mind to take it through injections.
And yeah, just to add something, I guess what you meant if you take it orally, does it mean it's gonna act on your gut first before it acts somewhere else? Not really. If you don't have a problem in your gut, not really, because how peptides, Noah mentioned that peptides are smart. And how do they know that if you take it orally, how do the BPC know I should go to the elbow, for example? Because when you have an injury there, means you have inflammation, means the inflammatory cells are secreting what we call cytokine, which are signals to the peptide that it's supposed to go there and heal there. That's why when you take it orally and you have an injury in the elbow, once it's passed through the digestive tract and it goes from there to your vessels and it's in your system now, it can go to the elbow because this is where the cytokine are and they are calling the peptide to come.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense. That's like a radio signal of where to go.
Our body is smart.
Yeah, that's interesting. What about TB500 then? That's another like common one that I've heard the most.
Yes. So yeah, TB500 is mostly it's a synthetic version of the TB4, the thymosin beta 4, right? So that has been synthesized in the lab to make it bioavailable to your body, and bioidentical to your body. And the beauty of TB500, it has lower amount of molecules, right? So it's a smaller amount of amino acids in the TB500, and because it's only 7 amino acids, it can go deeper, and the bioavailability of healing is higher than the TB4. So that's why they created it, and it has also the ability to control the upregulation of your building of the protein. So that's why if you combine it with BPC 157, that lower the inflammation, and then you add TB500 that upregulates the actin, which is a protein that with myosins forms together as the filaments in muscle cells, you heal faster a tendons injury, or you heal faster a muscle injury. And in labs, actually, they have induced tendons injuries to mice, and within weeks they healed it. Things that usually takes at least 9 months. So for people and for athletes, top athletes, and even for entrepreneurs, to be honest with you, because if you're an entrepreneur and you have a inflammation that takes 6-7 months, it takes some energy, right? So for a lot of high achievers and even normal people, they don't want to have walk 9 months with an injury, and you don't have to nowadays, right? So TB500 is a very efficient way, especially if you combine it with BPC 157 and some other peptides like GHRPs and GHRHs that stimulate the own production of your body of growth hormone, right? So that is something really important with healing to use TB500s, because it will accelerate immensely your healing. And I do have to say that a lot of patients come to us, and we have seen that they are on peptides. They want to go on peptides. Once we also upregulate their hormones, like their testosterone, their for men is a testosterone, and for women more than only testosterone. But once we upregulate their testosterone in an optimal, not superhuman, but optimal levels, the peptides are way more efficient. So it's funny that hormones have a lot of influence also on peptide.
Interesting. So with better hormones, they work better.
Like hormones, if you have a very big injury, like on a lower back or a hernia or any type of like or knee injury. Now we are treating some top soccer players with an injury, and a temporary boost in testosterone to optimal levels combined with peptides and some other cocktails to take out any toxins out of their body, it will speed up the healing much faster.
It's because also it's like worth to mention that testosterone has a healing effect as well. So if you optimize this hormone, we have testosterone receptor in the joint, we have testosterone receptor in the brain. So if you optimize the level of hormone, that's going to accelerate the healing effect. Another thing that we also noticed with our patient, there's no study about it, there's no protocol about it, but we noticed when we start by doing a detox to the patient and then we put them under a peptides protocol, those patients respond better than the patient where we did not do detox. Like, I could explain it in many ways, theoretically. Again, I don't have a study about it or any research about it, but this is what we noticed clinically. Something I wanted to add about TB500, since we were talking about it. TB500, usually we combine it with BPC for better recovery. I like also TB500 because additionally to everything that BPC do, TB500 also stimulate the stem cells. So if you need any type of cell, let's say you lost a part of your cartilage and you need more chondrocyte, which means cartilage cell, the TB500 can stimulate the stem cells so they can transform to cartilage cells. And TB500 does not have that much of upregulation when it comes to growth hormone and comes to growth factor. So it is safer to give in people who have any risk of cancer or already have cancer. But usually we combine BPC and TB500 together. We call it the Wolverine effect, so for better healing.
Nice. Yeah. Maybe the detox component is that what you alluded earlier, that if you have like more inflammation and I guess oxidative stress, then the peptides will go there first. So if you have like a lot of other inflammation throughout the body, then there's not the dose isn't enough to reach the target area if there's a lot of inflammation around.
And sometimes the toxin are linked to the receptor that you need where the peptide is supposed to come and do his effect. So while detoxing the body, you're gonna make these receptors free. Like, there are different ways to explain it.
Gotcha. When it comes to growth hormone, so TB500 increases growth hormone. There's a few other peptides that do it as well. I guess my question is, like, what do you think about the longevity effects of growth hormone and how potent are the peptides in increasing the growth hormone? Because, you know, it depends who you ask. Some of the scientists would say that growth hormone accelerates aging or it increases the risk of, cancers. But there's a lot of longevity clinics that just straight up inject growth hormone to everyone. So yeah, what is your opinion about it?
So that's actually a very good question. And it always depends on what your goal is, right? So if you have an injury, a heavy injury, and you want to optimize for performance, it's going to be a different protocol than if you want to optimize for longevity. For performance and for healing, definitely growth hormone will have a much faster effect. And even for fertility, we use it in our protocols. Much faster effects to make someone fertile, to make someone heal faster. For longevity, we definitely don't advise it because, as you said, it speed up the cell division in the body, right? So on the longer term, we don't advise it. On the shorter term, maybe, depends on what your goal is. Especially because there are peptides that might have the same effect, a much safer effect, and a safety profile that's much higher than growth hormones, right? Things like ipamorelin, like CTC1295, like melanotan. There are many other types of peptides that will act like a key. They will open the own production of growth hormone. And if you add it with some lifestyle changes and some modalities in your life, like sprinting, right? Like that will enhance your own growth hormone production, right? Like ice bath, like saunas. And if you add all these modalities, then 10% here, 20% there, 5% here, suddenly you'll see a huge boost in your own growth hormone production and testosterone.
Right. Yeah. So
if I may add something, like growth hormone, as you mentioned, yeah, for people who have a risk of cancer, for people who have like a family history of cancer, or they have cancer, I'm not going to prescribe either growth hormone or either growth hormone releasing peptide. Both of them, I'll not prescribe it. But also growth hormone when it's come to recovery is very important, and growth hormone releasing peptide. And that's why, like, if you think about it, when you're a kid, if you had an injury, you recover faster than when you're an adult. One of them is growth hormone, and second factor is because you have the other peptide like TB500. TB500, when you're a kid, it's way more concentrated in your body than when you're an adult, because TB500 is secreted by the thymus gland. And the more you grow older, the thymus is replaced by fat cells, which mean you're going to produce less TB500. And TB500 is one of the reasons why kids recover faster. When they have injury, kids recover faster. So yeah, as Noah explained, like we love to include, like we include growth hormone releasing peptide when it comes to fertility, when it comes to injury, but we always cycle them. That's why we always cycle peptide. First of all, because we know that growth hormone releasing peptide increase the cell division. And second of all, we cycle all peptide because we don't really have data about what is the side effect when you take a peptide for long term. We don't have this data yet. That's why it's safer to cycle the peptides.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
don't want also to make the receptors lazy, right?
Yeah.
If you take something for too long, there is this side effects of your receptors. By cycling them, you kind of give every time a reset.
Makes sense. Yeah, that you want to use the growth hormone only for like healing from injuries and like maybe periodically to support performance or some recovery. But yeah, chronically might not be the best idea.
I mean, even for longevity, you can use GHRPs, so peptides that induce growth hormone, also for longevity, because one of the biomarkers for longevity is muscle strength. And by taking these peptides, you will upregulate your muscle strength.
Right.
So you can definitely add that into your protocol. Also longevity protocol.
Yeah, so it's like comes down to a clever, intelligent design of how to use it in what amounts and when. But I think there has been some study as well where they use growth hormone, including some other supplements, to regenerate the thymus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. 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 That's the TA1, thymus alpha 1. It's for immunity, and it's definitely something that we added to people who I mean, it was used during COVID, right, by a lot of people to upregulate their immunity. And we use it a lot for people who are often sick or people in prevention that are traveling 3 days in Japan, then they go to Dubai and then to the United States, and their sleep is out of whack. Their diet, sometimes they have to eat fast, and then TA1 will just upregulate their immunity so they don't get sick, right? So it's definitely something that we advise because it's actually TA1 is already bioidentical and created by your body. It's created in a thyroid, right? And it's secreted there. So, and AIDS patients or HIV plus patients use it. It actually has been created for them. It has been seen in many studies in the 80s and 90s that HIV patients that use TA1 don't get the HIV virus don't get expressed and don't change to AIDS. So it has a very high safety profile, and there is a protocol for longevity for that, and we use it definitely on many of our patients and a lot on our older senior patients also.
Gotcha. Are there any like other peptides that specifically are good for longevity or anti-aging?
There's two peptides that I love to add for longevity. Epitalon, I'll let Noah talk about them, and MOTC as well. Like those two with thymosin alpha 1, for me, like I love to give them for people. They ask me, what are the peptide that I could take for longevity? Those are the peptide that I love to use. So Noah, if you want to talk about them.
No, please, You're on a roll. Go for it.
Okay, so epitalon is one of my favorite peptide. It's either saying you can hear you can found it on the name of epitalamin or epitalon. It's secreted in the pineal gland, and it was shown to work on the telomeres. What is the telomeres? Every time your cell divides, you're gonna lose a part of the chromosome, which is at the end of the chromosome that we call telomere. And epitalamin stimulate the telomeres to protect this telomere, which means it's not going to shorten your chromosome. And that means your cell is going to survive longer. And when you say the cell are going to survive longer, your body is going to survive longer because you are made of cells. So this is one effect of epitalon. Another effect, epitalon stimulate the secretion of melatonin, which means it's going to make you sleep deeper and better quality of sleep. And usually a lot of people come to me, they want to take epitalon because of the longevity effect with telomeres, and the side effect is they sleep better. So this is the best combination. The second peptide I talked about is MOTS-c, which one of the rarest peptide that work on the mitochondria level. And MOTS-c actually is like have the effect on the mitochondria and on your cell the same as the effect of exercise when you just exercise. And MOTS-c has been recently discovered to treat type 1 diabetes. And this is a very new discovery and is very interesting. It's still an animal study, but because we know that type 1 diabetes is a genetic disorder and usually you only inject insulin for the rest of your life. But they took the group of mice, they provoked the genetic variation that caused type 1 diabetes, and they took biopsy from the pancreas, and what they saw, it's like inflammatory cells around the beta islet of the pancreas, which is responsible of diabetes. And what happened after they injected them, I'm not sure if it was for 8 or 10 weeks of MOTS-c, and they took another biopsy of the pancreas, and the immune cells, the inflammatory cells, totally disappear. So, which is an amazing discovery that MOTS-c can reverse diabetes.
How do you spell that? Not-C or?
MOTS-c.
MOTS-c. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, the epitalon is also one of the things I'm interested in, like because with age your melatonin production goes down, which again makes it not only bad for sleep, but the anti-inflammatory effects of melatonin and antioxidant benefits are also like super important. That would decline otherwise.
Yes.
But another I guess idea, or is it something that you would also use continuously or not, because the telomerase expression is also linked to cancer in some instances. So is it also something that you would use periodically or continuously?
For epitalon?
Yeah.
Epitalon, you do 2 cycles per year, not more. But actually there are new studies that show that on also animal studies, not a human study, that show that epitalon can actually, if you cycle it and you take it in the correct dose, prevent a certain type of cancers.
Nice. That's interesting.
And also for you, Siim, like you said, you have interest in melatonin upregulation, right? And there is actually a melanocyte stimulating hormone as a peptide, right? Which is called melatonin 1. There's also melanotan 2. And that's developed initially to stimulate melanin production, for skin protection against UV, and especially for people at a higher risk of skin cancer, right? Which is in northern countries. So it mimics a natural hormone called alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone, right, or MSH, which is in the body, which is involved in the body tanning response, right? So that's why people who take it, a lot of bodybuilders take it, but they take it, and then as a side effect, it creates this darker, browner color of your skin. But it also has a lot of other types of side effects, which is also the eye, right? It makes the eye more sensitive and the skin by light. Right? And because of that, it has also great side effects as sleeping better and deeper. And we prefer, like from a safety profile, we prefer melatonin 2 instead of 1, because also it acts on other melanocortin receptors.
Interesting.
I remember, yeah, that's
Yeah, the melanotan
which can lead also to higher libido.
exactly.
So it's a very nice side effect, because it stimulate the release of dopamine, and which leads to increased libido as a side effect.
Gotcha. Yeah, the melanotan. I've heard about it, that it can make skin more tan, and people use it for that. But I didn't know that it would then upregulate melatonin production as well. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. With epithalon, how long would that cycle like last if you do it like twice a year? How many days?
You have two options: either to take it consecutively for 10 days, either to take it every 3 days for a month, for less than a month, for 2 weeks. But in total, you should not exceed 25 days of epithalon. And usually do it 2 cycle per year, which mean like you're gonna start the first cycle in the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, it's better to do the second cycle.
Gotcha. Any other like longevity peptides that worth talking about?
We mentioned libido. Noah talked about the melanotan 2 that act because they go through the brain, as opposed to the type 1 that they do not cross the brain barrier. They act on the libido, but also there's another peptide that also act on the melanocortin receptor, which is a bremelanotide, or PT141, that's commonly known. And actually, it's one of the peptides that is FDA approved for women who have low libido. So this is one of the peptide that if you prescribe it, you're legally protected because it's FDA approved and it's being used. So this is when we talk about libido problem. Noah, you wanted to add something?
I mean, there are like for longevity, if that's typically and consistently your question, or a very specific question, I see it more as a holistic, which is if you lower your inflammation, right, in your body, then yes, then that's a longevity, right? Because lower inflammation, more you add life to your years. But to be honest with you, most of the people that come to us, they're not so much focused only on longevity. They're more focused on, okay, I want energy. I want to put more life in my years now. What can I do to have more energy, to sleep deeper, to have less injuries, to go harder in the gym and to train harder? So we focus on these things, and we believe that if you put more life into your years, then you are kind of indirectly also working on the longevity. So we give you muscle strength. So we use peptide for muscle strength. We use peptide for better sleep, to adding an extra element to already an optimized protocol. But because obviously, if you're sleeping only 3 hours and taking peptides, I mean, it's not going to be very efficient, right? So you definitely, like, we get a lot of people, they're not doing the fundamentals, and they want to still use peptide. Like, will it have an effect? Definitely. Is it very efficient? Totally not. So we always prefer to educate our patients, to educate our friends and family on first doing the fundamentals. Let's do the fundamentals. Let's sleep deep. Let's sleep early. Let's eat healthy. Let's use the right food and nutrients, and then add peptides as that extra boost to heal faster, to sleep deeper, to have less inflammation, right? So you have to take that context also into account. And then if we add muscle strength and we sleep better and we have a better digestion and we have lower inflammation, and if you add all these modalities one after the other, then suddenly we believe that you will live and also longer.
And this is so important. I just want to highlight this, that peptides are not the magic potion that you're going to take and suddenly you're going to heal from everything. Or, for example, if you want to build muscle, you don't exercise, let me inject peptides because they help with muscle building. It's not going to happen. Like, that's why a lot of people who take GLP-1s, once they stop it and they go back to their old habit, they gain even more weight than what they started in the beginning. So peptides alone is not the magic potion. It's this plus that you add to change in lifestyle, to different things that you can do, to supplements, to optimizing your hormone, to different things in the longevity context.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like, you would first of all, just get inferior results with the peptides if you're not covering the fundamentals.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But I have to say, Sim, that sometimes people need that push. Like sometimes we have people that have been unhealthy for a decade plus, and suddenly they just need that push. And suddenly a GLP-1 give that job. They give them that push of not wanting to eat anymore, of not having that desire, and then suddenly they feel they're losing some kilos, and suddenly they say, you know what, let me also train with it, let me also eat healthy with it. And it kind of sometimes it does definitely help to give that push, and that sometimes peptides give that push. So it's a kind of a circle, right?
Yeah, and with the recovery, for sure, it gives the push. You could be, very healthy. You have just accident, and you get back on track with the peptide by recovering faster.
Yes.
Other so you mentioned that you see people getting better results if they detox before taking the peptides. Other general preparations worth keeping in mind? Like, do you have special diet that you follow before, or do you do anything else differently while taking the peptides?
I mean, every peptide has a different protocol. Like, for example, if you're gonna take ipamaron and CGC1, like if you're gonna take growth hormone releasing peptide, and you do not train with it, it's actually dangerous. It can make you pre-diabetic, right? So there is definitely, for each peptide, there is a different protocol, and each age there is a different protocol. And what kind of pathology do you have? Are you using it for longevity? Are you using to repair something? So we definitely advise to use peptides that is from a compounded pharmacy with a medical doctor that is specialized in peptide, and take it as a holistic view, not something as a separate. The beauty also of peptides, it becomes your accountability partner. And what do I mean with that? It's, if you're going to inject something in your body, and if you're going to take something that is so high density in efficiency, it's kind of, every day you think, oh, wow, I'm taking this very expensive, highly effective drug. Let me also add other things. And it's kind of an accountability partner it becomes, right? So that's, it's like, there is no one formula for everyone, right?
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important. Like, we're talking a lot about the benefit of peptide and how peptides are good. And usually people are going to be excited to start using peptide, but please don't do it alone. Do it with a doctor, with a medical prescription, because most of peptides are safe, but there are certain peptides that are not totally safe and they have side effects. One of them is GLP-1. Like, GLP-1 have one of the most serious side effects, which is can stop the contraction of your gut, and you can end up by the food not moving at all in your gut, and with a rupture and with a sepsis and the whole shebang. That's why it's so important to follow the doctor prescription, and in case if there any even very minimal side effect, to report it to the doctor so he can adjust the dosage. He can tell you to stop, to cycle it again, to change it to the different peptide. Don't do peptides alone.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
because they're definitely a good way and a dangerous way to do it. And we test, by the way, all the peptides that we give to our patients, including GLP-1. I've tested it myself, and the effect is really, really strong if you don't do it in the right way, right? So, and it's not for everyone. And we see doctors prescribing it for life. I mean, that's super dangerous on your guts, right? And you have GLP-1, we see it as a temporary thing to give you that push to lose that weight so you can actually do sports. Because if you sport with 50 pounds of overweight, it's going to like not help your knees and your joints, right? So you want to sometimes, exactly, then you have to add BPC to it. But like to give you that push, let's say then definitely, but definitely not for life, and definitely adding protein, adding enzymes, digestive enzymes to help you digest the enzymes, because as Silvana said, it slow down and sometimes even stop the bowel movement.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We can start wrapping up. I think we had a very good overview about the main peptides and the philosophy to keep in mind. But yeah, before I ask my last question, where can people learn more about you and your work?
We'll give you the links. We are very active on Instagram and also on our website, the Longevity Clinic. We have biohacking days where people can come and experience what it is, what are peptides, what is autophagy, what are ice bath, breath works. We always have the world memory champion there to teach about neuroplasticity and how powerful your brain is. So people are always welcome, including you, Siim, and your lovely wife, to join.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll put the links in the show notes. And my last question is, what's this one piece of advice or a habit that you wish you adopted sooner?
For me as a doctor, I wish I knew sooner about peptides.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they can change the medical system in a way where we take off the unnecessary thing that they teach us and they replace it with more important things. Imagine you have doctors that understand better nutrition, they understand better hormones, they understand better peptides. You will have a different overview of your body, and you have a different plan for your treatment. So for me, I wish, it's not my fault, but I wish if the medical system include peptides and include biohacking in the teaching of doctors.
Right. That's definitely important point. What about you, Noah?
For me, it's about I call it the Pareto principle of biohacking. Because whenever we go to a congress, we see so many gadgets, we see so many supplements, but there are actually a couple of things that you can do that will have 100x ROI on your time and on your money, which is hormone optimization, which is heavy metal detoxification, and obviously lifestyle changes, like how to sleep, when to sleep, how to wake up. These things will have way more effect on your quality of your life than any gadget that we have seen. And then you can add peptides, which is the real hacking for us. Right.
Right. Yeah, I agree. A lot of peptides are very interesting, and they have a important place, like we talked about. But yeah, the fundamentals are also, many people just forget the fundamentals. But yeah, it was great to talk with you. I think a lot of people learned a lot of valuable information, and in the future we might do more episodes on some other advanced peptides and other things. So yeah, thanks for coming, and I'll see you around.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, Siim.
All right, that's it for this episode. Make sure you check out my new book, The Longevity Leap, on Amazon. I'd also appreciate if you share this episode with a friend or family member. Other than that, my name is Siim. Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay empowered.